Hello and welcome to the WPIAL Pairing Show presented by McDonald's. Tonight we're live here in the North Shore of downtown Pittsburgh, but we will be releasing the high school football playoff matchups for teams all over Western Pennsylvania, and we'll take you live to Green Tree for some instant reaction to the matchups. I'm Rob King, joined by former Penn Trafford Warrior, Pitt Star, and Root Sports analyst Chris Schneider. Chris, always a lot of fun when these pairings come out, sometimes controversial. Your thoughts on what you're looking forward to tonight?
Well, I think in Quad A, it's going to be pretty clear-cut what we're going to see with the top four seeds. And then from there, they'll mix and match these teams and try to get the best matchups. But look for a good tournament coming up.
All right, let's get right to the brackets. We begin in Quad A, and we begin with the top-seeded North Allegheny Tigers, who steamrolled their way through the regular season unbeaten. The two-time defending champions are taking on Altoona. They figure to use them for a little more than a tune-up for a second-round matchup. Next up, a couple of fairly recent Quad A champions. The McKeesport Tigers won the title back in 2005. They'll be taking on the 2008 champs, the Bethel Park Blackhawks. Bethel Park won 5 of its last 6 regular season games. Seneca Valley is the 4th seed. The Raiders ended a long run of futility with a playoff win last year. Don Hall's high-scoring team will look for a deeper run in the playoffs this year. They'll be taking on Hempfield, from a team that finished 4-5 in the regular season. And if Seneca Valley wins its first game, it could set up an intriguing second-round matchup with Mount Lebanon. The Blue Devils will host Butler in the first-round game on Friday night. The Golden Tornado were the 5th team to qualify from the Quad A North. And Chris, as we take a look at this side of the bracket, North Allegheny, I think clearly the prohibitive favorite, not just in this side of the bracket, but in the entire Quad A.
Well, yeah, they've been the #1 team throughout the state the whole year. They've been good every week. No one's really challenged them. You look for them they're looking for a three-peat. So we'll see if one of these teams can pop out and give them a little game here on their way to the finals, but I don't think it's going to happen.
And, of course, no team in Quad A has ever won 3 consecutive titles. Meanwhile, a possible intriguing second-round matchup between a very good Seneca Valley team and explosive Mount Lebanon offense as well. Mount Lebanon came within a blocked field goal of being the 3rd seed in this tournament with that loss to Upper St. Clair in the final week.
Yeah, points will be when you look at that game. Both teams high scoring, both have good quarterbacks. They've got some athletes on the perimeter. It'll be which team can outscore the other one.
All right, let's take a look at the other side of the bracket, and we begin with the 2nd-seeded Gateway Gators. Terry Smith once again has a talented team. Their lone loss came in a 14-3 game at the hands of North Allegheny. They'll take on a solid Peters Township team in the opening round. A pair of tradition-rich programs with legendary coaches up next. George Novak and Woodland Hills, who won a record 5 Quad A championships, take on Jack McCurry and North Hills, owners of 4 Quad A titles. Then it's Upper St. Clair and Kiski. Jim Render once again has his Panthers in the hunt for a title. Many think that the 3rd-seeded USC Panthers might be the team to beat on this half of the bracket. Following an 8-1 regular season, they'll host Kiski on Friday night. And your old alma mater, Penn Trafford, takes on a Central Catholic team that might be a year away from contending for another title. But Chris, other than your obvious interest in the 6-seeded Warriors, a lot of big names in this side of the conference.
Well, yeah, I mean, tradition-rich schools that have been here in the Quad A throughout the years. You look at Gateway and Woodland Hills and Upper St. Clair, as you mentioned. 3 good football teams, as well as Central Catholic, who was maybe down a little bit earlier this year, but been playing well towards late in the year. This side of the bracket looks to be very competitive.
Let's take a step back now and look at the entire bracket. North Allegheny, it looks like little stands between them and the championships. You know, Seneca Valley, if they get past Mount Lebanon, a much improved team, but this is a team that North Allegheny beat 45-3 back in week 4.
Yeah, when you look at North Allegheny, they're the most complete team, I think, in this tournament so far. They haven't really been tested this year. Seneca Valley was supposed to test them offensively, but didn't really put up much of a fight. We'll see if they've improved throughout the year and can maybe challenge North Allegheny to get to the final.
And then when you look at the other side of the bracket, Gateway, the clear #2 seed. You have Upper St. Clair. You knew they were going to be the 3 seed. I think the wild card in there might be Woodland Hills. If Woodland Hills was on the other side of the bracket, maybe one more tough game for North Allegheny. But all of a sudden, you throw Central Catholic in there. Not to take anything away from your alma mater, of course, but you have a very competitive side of the bracket here.
Well, I think it's very competitive. I think Gateway is probably the best team on paper when you look at them. Sometimes you're not quite sure what you're going to get from week to week, but they've taken care of business every week. So I think they're looking for that matchup maybe with North Allegheny. But as you said, Woodland Hills, a very young team. I think there may be a year away. Upper St. Clair with Pete Coughlin at quarterback, very explosive on offense. Jim Render's very well-coached football team. And then you look at Central Catholic and Penn Trafford. I think that'll be one of the most competitive games in the first round.
All right, thanks very much, Chris. And we're just getting started here in the WPIAL Pairing Show presented by McDonald's. Coming up, you're going to hear from some coaches live at the Pairings meetings, and we'll reveal the matchups for the other three classifications, beginning with AAA when we return.